Imagine being around people who seem trustworthy, but are actually making you feel uneasy. What if I told you about the 9 types of people who, despite what they look like, don't deserve your trust and respect? This revelation could be the key to changing your relationships. As the wise man once said, it only takes 5 minutes to ruin a reputation, 20 years to build one. When we're with friends, family, and other people we know, trust is the most important thing. But what happens when we lose our trust? Based on the ideas of Stoicism, we will look at 9 types of people who may not deserve your trust and respect. That's not what this is about. It's about being picky about who you let into your inner circle. Let's get through these rough waters together and learn how to keep our trust and peace of mind safe. 1. The manipulative musician or artist. The manipulative person is the mastermind of deception and emotional manipulation. They put on masks of kindness and care, but deep down they are calculating and use others for their own gain. Their skill lies in being subtle, and they don't always go overboard with their manipulation. A shadow game that is risky. How can you find them? Look for gaps between what they say and what they do. They may make big promises but not follow through. Their words often don't fit their actions. Pay attention to what they say about other people, because manipulators often say bad things about people who aren't there. If you're not there, they might say bad things about you. Some of the things they might do are guilt-tripping, gaslighting, and playing the victim to get sympathy and control. They are very good at twisting facts and situations to their advantage, which can leave you questioning what you thought. Remember that trust is a valuable thing, and when someone is manipulating you, it's always at risk. Their effects go beyond just letting you down. Long-term contact with these kinds of people can cause emotional and mental problems, so it's important to trust your gut. If someone always makes you feel drained, unappreciated, or confused after talking to them, it could be a sign that they are manipulative. Behavior. Setting clear limits is important for working with people who try to control you. In your relationships, be clear about what is and isn't okay. Don't be afraid to say no or question things that don't make sense. While you can be polite, it's also important to keep your mental distance. Don't give them personal information or depend on them for emotional support. Sometimes the best thing to do is to cut ties with them completely, especially if the manipulation is hurting your health a lot. It's hard, especially if the manipulator is a close friend or family member, but it's worth it to protect your mental health. Stoicism reminds us of how important it is to be able to make good decisions and handle our feelings well. Stoics believe that we should face reality as it is, not as we wish it were. Figuring out if someone is manipulative and accepting that helps us decide if we want to stay with them or not. When we move on from manipulators, we can find more honest and healthy relationships where trust is given and received with integrity. Stay tuned, because in the next section we'll talk about the 2nd type of person. As always, wisdom and awareness will help us navigate the complicated world of human relationships. The perpetual critic too. Now let's talk about the 2nd type of person you might want to be careful around. The perpetual critic. These are the people who always seem to find fault with everything and everyone around them. Their words are often sharp and they criticize you endlessly, even about small things like your choices and dreams. Concerning persistent critics is not only their negativity, but also the reasons behind it. Often their criticism is less about the people they target and more about their own insecurities. They may be projecting their fears, disappointments, or self-doubt onto others. So how do you deal with these people? First, it's important to tell the difference between constructive criticism that is meant to help and destructive criticism that is meant to hurt. If you think their feedback is mostly unfair and negative, it's best to stay away from them. It can be draining to deal with people who are always negative. It's like trying to fill a cup that has a hole in the bottom. No matter how much positivity you pour in, it never seems to be enough. Remember that Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control. You can't change what other people say, but you can change how you react to it. Setting limits is very important. Be polite but firm when you say that you are open to constructive feedback but not unwanted negativity. If they keep doing it, you might want to limit your interactions with them. Your peace of mind and self-esteem are too valuable to be destroyed by constant criticism. The constant critic teaches us a valuable lesson in self-respect and strength. If you don't take their criticism personally, you protect your inner peace. As we continue our exploration, let's be wise enough to know what criticism to take to heart and what to let blow by like the wind. Next, we'll talk about the third type of person as we continue our quest to understand and Stoic, the fair weather friend knowledge. 3. The fair weather friend. As we continue our research, we come across the third type, the fair weather friend. These are people who are all sunshine and smiles when things are going well, but when a storm comes up, they're nowhere to be found. Their friendship is like a leaf in the wind. It's there on your best days and not there on your worst. The fair weather friend is usually friendly and charming, making you feel like you're really connected with them, but their loyalty is only there for the good times, celebrations, and moments of joy. When you need help, understanding, or someone to just listen, they disappear. When things are going well, it can be hard to tell who your fair weather friends are, but if you talk to them about your problems or ask for their help, watch how they react. Do they change the subject, make excuses, or just leave until things get better? This behavior is a clear indicator of their fair weather nature. Dealing with such individuals requires a balance of open-heartedness and caution. It's okay to enjoy their company, but be wary of relying on them for emotional support or sharing your deepest vulnerabilities in the philosophy of Stoicism. We are taught to value inner resilience and the strength that comes from within. Relying too much on fair weather friends can leave you unprepared for life's inevitable storms. So cherish the good times with them, but also build a support system with people who are there for you unconditionally. These are the friends who will stand by your side, through thick and thin, the ones who truly deserve your trust and respect. As we move on from the fair weather friend, we prepare to uncover the fourth type of individual in our journey. Each person we meet along this path teaches us something valuable about ourselves and the world around us. Stay with us as we continue to navigate these insightful, the gossip. What the monger says. 4. The talk monger. Next, we'll talk about the fourth type of person who should be wary of gossip. This person loves spreading rumors and often makes up stories that aren't their own. Their talks are a maze of he said, she saids with details about other people's lives that aren't true or important to them. Secret gossipers often act like they know a lot, but the truth is that their habit of talking about other people shows they have bigger problems. It could be because they want attention, want to feel better about themselves, or want to take attention away from their own lives. There are 2 risks of hanging out with a gossip monger. First, they will weave a web of untrue and possibly damaging stories around you. Also, and this may be more importantly, it sets a standard for how your own stories will be handled. Remember the saying, if they gossip about you, they will gossip about you. If you want to deal with someone who likes to gossip, the key is not to feed their fire. You should be careful about what you share with them and stay away from conversations that are based on gossip. If someone is gossiping about you, a Stoic response is to either change the subject or politely excuse yourself. In Stoicism, we are told to focus on our actions and virtues instead of talking about other people. This keeps our integrity and gives us mental peace as we leave the room. Let us carry with us the wisdom to have conversations that make our lives and the lives of others better. Next on our journey of learning and discernment, we will look at another interesting personality type. Part 5 of the narcissist. The narcissist. In Part 5 of our journey, we meet the narcissist. This person's life revolves only around them. They are often charming and charismatic, making it easy to fall in love with them. But their charm is just a mask for their deep-seated self-centeredness and lack of empathy for others. Narcissists see relationships as a way to get what they want out of life and boost their ego. They don't care about other people's feelings or well-being, and their interactions are usually one-sided. If you're talking to a narcissist, you might find yourself constantly admiring and supporting them while getting little to nothing in return. It can be hard to spot a narcissist because they are very good at making a good impression. But when you ask them to show empathy or be in a give-and-take relationship, they fall apart. Narcissists don't really care about other people's lives and tend to bring up themselves in every conversation. Dealing with narcissists requires a strong sense of self and clear boundaries. It's important to remember that their behavior shows what kind of person they are, not how much they're worth. Trying to connect with them with the hopes of mutual respect and understanding will usually end in disappointment. In Stoic philosophy, we learn how important it is to focus on our virtues and not let other people's actions affect our inner peace. This advice is especially useful when I'm dealing with narcissists. The flatterer is good at giving praise and making other people feel good. But their flattery often has another reason. The flatterer uses praise to gain favor or control situations for their own benefit. At first, it might feel good to be praised so much, but it's important to know if the compliments are real or just a way to get what they want. Flatterers tend to go overboard with their praise, and what seems like genuine kindness can often feel fake or exaggerated. The risk of engaging with a flatterer is the potential for them to use your praise to get what they want. To deal with a flatterer well, you need to stay grounded and not let flattery cloud your judgment. Take their words with a grain of salt and enjoy the praise, but keep a healthy dose of skepticism. Pay attention to what they do, because it often says more than what they say. If you notice that fake praises are being used to trick people or get favors, the goal is to look at the connection again through the lens of Stoicism. Sincere and honest comments are more important than fake ones. Stoics teach us to be wary of outside approval and to find our own worth from within. By not relying on the approval of others, especially flattery, we keep our independence and self-respect. As we wrap up our discussion of the flatterer, we get ready to move on to the seventh type of person in our next segment. Each character we meet on this journey teaches us something important about how complicated people are and how important it is to tell the truth. The victim person always thinks that bad luck is coming their way and that they are powerless against it. They see themselves as the perpetual underdog, unfairly treated by people and situations in life. While it's important to feel sorry for people who are going through hard times, the victim makes this role a big part of their identity and often uses it to get sympathy or avoid taking responsibility. The problem with the victim is that they won't take responsibility for their situation. They'll often say that all of their problems are caused by outside forces, which makes talking to them emotionally draining, because their story is mostly complaints and grievances, leaving little room for positive or constructive dialogue. To spot a chronic victim, you have to see how they tend to put the blame on others and project their problems onto others. They don't try to change their situation very often because they feel helpless. When dealing with a victim, it's important to find a balance between compassion and self-preservation. Giving support and advice is a good thing, but be careful not to get caught up in their cycle of negativity. Rather than just lamenting their fate, tell them to take responsibility for their actions and look for solutions. In Stoic philosophy, we are taught how important it is to focus on what we can control: our actions, reactions, and judgments. This principle is especially important when dealing with victims. We can give them advice and support, but in the end, it's up to them to take charge of their lives. As we move on from the victim, we do so knowing that compassion is a good thing, but it needs to be tempered with wisdom. Knowing when to help and when to step back is important for our mental health. 8. The envious. In Part 8, we meet the envious. This type of person quietly dislikes other people's successes and accomplishments. They may seem supportive on the outside, but they are often dealing with feelings of jealousy and not being good enough. Because envy is a subtle feeling that doesn't always show itself, it's one of the sneakiest personality traits to spot. Someone who is jealous might give you compliments without meaning to, or play down your achievements. Their envy can also show up as passive-aggressive behavior or as looking for ways to put down your accomplishments. They may copy or try to top your successes not because they are inspired, but because they want to fight and show they are better. Envy can be hard to spot because it often hides behind friendliness or admiration. Watch how they react to your successes or good news. Do their congratulations feel genuine, or do they always add a negative twist? Do they often compare their successes to yours? Dealing with an envious person requires tact and a strong sense of self-worth. Don't let their envy make you feel bad about what you've done or dampen your energy. Celebrate your wins, but be careful about who you tell them. It's normal to want to share good news with someone who is jealous, but it might be best to hold back. In Stoic philosophy, we are told to stay focused on our path and not let other people's bad feelings affect us. When someone is jealous, it shows how upset they are inside, not how much you're worth. By knowing this, you can deal with envious people without taking on their negativity. As we wrap up our discussion on the envious, we're getting ready to talk about the 9th and final personality type. Each of these types has taught us something about how people act and how important it is to pick our friends carefully. The critical ones, the judgmental and the judgmental. We've reached part 9, the last part of our look at the judgmental. This person is known for judging others quickly and harshly. They often have rigid views of the world and don't like it when people have opinions or live in ways that are different from their own. The judgmental person is quick to label, criticize, and dismiss others without trying to understand their points of view. It can be hard to deal with people who are judgmental because their harsh criticisms are often lacking in humanity and understanding. They might have a moral or intellectual superiority complex and think that their way of thinking is the only right way to think. Their judgments are not just opinions. They are statements that can have an effect on relationships and social dynamics. To spot someone who is judgmental, look for signs that they are rigid in their beliefs and unwilling to listen to other points of view. They often refuse to have meaningful conversations, instead of forcing their views on others. It's important to stick to your beliefs and not let their narrow-mindedness change you. Remain true to your views and avoid debates that don't help anyone. The important thing is to recognize their thoughts without taking them personally. You can disagree with someone while keeping a respectful distance. In Stoic philosophy, we learn how to make good decisions based on reason, empathy, and understanding. We are also told to keep an open mind and see the worth in different points of view. We can talk to judgmental people without letting their narrow views affect us. As we wrap up our series on the 9 personality types who might not deserve your trust and respect, it's important to remember that this isn't about judging others. It's about being aware and making smart choices about the people we let into our lives. Each of these personality types teaches us something useful about people and the world. We appreciate you coming along on this journey. As we interact with others, let's remember the wisdom and discernment we've gained. The quality of our relationships has a big impact on our happiness and well-being. Picking wisely who we trust and respect isn't just about keeping ourselves safe, it's also about creating a life full of real connections and good experiences. In the spirit of Stoicism, let's embrace the power of relationships. Thank you for reading this series. If you found these insights helpful, please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Your reflections help us all understand better and contribute to a community of wisdom and growth. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing for more content that delves deeper into philosophy, psychology, and personal development. Always think things through, be interested, and most of all, stay on the road of self-improvement and understanding.